Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Zenaton, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. Today, we are going to be doing something I like to do quite often when a new batch of cards comes up, and whether it's a set or a mini expansion, I don't do it for all of them, but I like to try. Today, we are going to be looking at some early decks that play the new cards. Uh, I would like to just preemptively state these decks, while I think they're playable and decent, they are definitely bruised. They are not necessarily the most competitive deck, and while it could be a possibility that some of them might turn out to actually be good, they are not refined at all. These are just here to, in case you are a player who wants to get some ideas for your own deck building or just wants to play with the new cards right away, but you yourself know you're that not that good at deck building, so you're just looking for some decks to play. In my personal opinion, I think it is best to play just the older decks at first if you're just looking to climb. I think Plunder is, for example, a really good deck right now in the meta, especially with all the people playing all kinds of new decks. It's just free ELO on the ladder. But if you are looking for fun or you're looking to challenge yourself and try and build some new decks or try out new cards or just for fun, I've got 5 pretty cool new decks for you. I tried to get I succeeded here. I got a deck for each of the new champions. Some of them are control, some are aggro, some are mid-range. I got a lot of stuff for you. So, how's this video going to work if you've never seen this type of video from me? I will show you 5 decks, and I will talk about why some cards are in the deck and the general game plan of the deck, and how good I think the deck is. Whether I think it's a serious deck that could be really, really strong with some fine tuning, or it's more of a fun idea that, well, a little competitive is mostly just for fun. So, let's start with the first deck. Deck number 1, Ashe Elusives. I think this deck is really good. Not necessarily this build, but I think the idea behind the deck is really, really strong. Pretty much anyone who's played this game before, who has played for quite a bit, knows elusives and how elusive decks are. You're pretty much just playing elusive, you're hitting your opponent in the face, and you're killing them that way. Now, is this better than Zed Poppy elusives? Perhaps, with the Young Witch nerf. But yeah, so the game plan, pretty simple game plan here. You're just pretty much curving out. Dancing Droplet into Ahri gives you some really, really degenerate gas, some card draw, whatever you want to call it. Fizz is a decent start too, thanks to our spell suite as well. We can use Fizz to counter things like Make It Rain against Plunder decks, so that's pretty nice. And Fizz in general is just a very annoying card to deal with. Conchologist as well can give us some random spells, some more protection spells. Ahri's champ spell is really good too. So overall, just a really, really good deck. Thanks to the Mourn, we can level up Ahri really quickly and turn her into another elusive. Just a very, very strong and annoying deck. Is Cannon better than Fizz? I kind of think the answer might be yes, but Fizz is also annoying. You can go with either one. The Cannon version is a little slower than this version, though. The Fizz Ahri version, I think, is a lot more faster. You can really tell how fast this deck tries to play because it's even playing Flame Spitter. A card I don't think it's that great, but it's good enough in this kind of like elusive deck because it's just a little extra face damage, and it is technically a permanent buff, so they still have to deal with that buffed card eventually. And yeah, I just like it. Between all the annoying elusives and the really good combat tricks like Twin Disciplines, very strong deck, very, very good if you want to play a new deck, but you don't want to create too many new cards. This only really has a couple new cards. Flame Spitter, Ahri, and the Mourned, I believe, are the only new cards in this deck. Quicken too, but you could replace that with like Nopifies or something if you want. So yeah, solid deck. If you know who you are, who like elusives, you know what you like. This is the deck for you. Also though, I think the Cannon version's really good. Go check that out. We don't have a Cannon Ahri here. Ken and Ahri elusive aggro deck. Remember that for later. But we don't have a Ken and Ahri elusive deck here. I didn't want to include decks that I see too many people talking about, but I haven't seen too many people talking about Ahri Fizz. Anyway, deck number 2. A deck that I've played a lot, or have been playing a lot. Rumble. I don't know how to exactly call this. I guess just Rumble discard mid-range really is the best way to describe this. When I was trying to pick a deck for Rumble, I kept going back and forth between, do I want to go with the version on the screen that is Rumble discard, just, pretty standard discard deck that just plays out cards in a mid-rangey tempo kind of style, or the Rumble Flurry of Fist OTK deck, which, while it's cute and cool and stuff, I don't think it's a good deck. It's too clunky in my opinion. If you're curious what that deck is, it's a Rumble. It plays Noxus as well, but it's a Noxus Ionia Rumble deck that plays Flurry of Fist to give Rumble or something else double attack and kill your opponent in one turn. Also, pretty cool deck, but I like Mystic Shot in the meta right now with Yordle Explorer and Cannon and all kinds of things being popular, so I like this version a little bit more. Still working around and tuning this deck. I started with 2 Scions, 1 Draven, and 2 Draven's biggest fans. I cut 1 Scion for another Draven now. Or Draven, yeah, Draven himself. Just a cute little thing you can do there. You can just play, since you can't play all 3 Dravens if you want to play Scions, because we're trying to play 3 Rumbles here, you can just play Draven's biggest fan. It's pretty nice. We got things like, we got the discard package. You already know what it is by now, thanks to Scion Draven anyway. Zonite Urchins, Ballistic Bots as well. It's a little slow, but I like it in the current meta, and I'm just a fan of the card. Boom Baboon, Fallen Rider for some discard fodder, Grave Physicians, and some treasures to draw some more gas. Ancient Warmonger is a card I'm not too sure of, but I like it as it's a nice overwhelm unit in the mid game if you're just struggling for units. We have a lot of units in this deck though, so we don't struggle too much. It's mostly just here because it's just another card to discard. You could try playing Reborn Grenadier instead, but we don't really have Rummage. You can also consider adding Rummage to the deck, or Poro Cannon for a burst speed way to discard outside of Draven's Spinning Axes. And then play Reborn Grenadier over Warmonger. And then we got Captain Farron here. Captain Farron was added after the second Scion was taken out. Just a good card. Big overwhelm guy. Finishes games off. 3 Lost Souls because this is a discard deck. So why not play Lost Soul? We have so many ways to discard Lost Soul. And if anyone tries to go late against us, we have Lost Soul to keep up with their late game and just bully them basically. For the spell suite, I should also mention Ruined Reckoner as a one of. This is mostly just for fun. I've been playing a lot of Ruined Reckoner in a lot of different decks now. Very cute with Rumble, lets you level up Rumble on your opponent's turn. Very cute. You can also use it with some of your Overwhelm units or units that got overwhelmed thanks to Scion. Really nice with Draven too. Just a pretty solid card, but I think 2 might be a little too many. It clogs up your hand a bit. As for the spells, though, 3 Mystic Shots, just a good card, especially with Yordle Explorer, being a thing. 1 of Might, we do get big units, but they do kind of struggle to get through. And Rumble with Might is very, very cute. 2 Whirling Dust lets you level up Rumble really quickly, very nice. And 2 Survival Skills just to keep your important units alive for combat. So yeah, nothing much here. If you were a fan of Draven, Scion, this is just basically another form of it, except with Rumble and a little other changes. Pretty much the only new card in this deck, I think, is Rumble, in fact, actually. Some cards you don't see too often, like Ruined Reckoner and Ancient Warmonger, but I believe Rumble is the only new card. You could try out some of the other new cards in the Rumble package to make more Mecha Yordles, but we're less Mecha Yordles and more just a discard mid-range deck. But yeah, fun deck. Now the next deck, I've been playing this deck a lot. Deck number 3, Riven Pantheon. I've been playing a lot of Pantheon. I've tried all kinds of Pantheon decks. Pantheon Zoe, Pantheon Riven, Pantheon Aphelios, etc., etc. I like Pantheon Riven the most in terms of viability. I really think the Riven Pantheon deck is the strongest, I'd say. Maybe there's someone I'm not seeing. Maybe like Pantheon Shivana or Pantheon J4 for some Demacia. But I already tried Demacia with Pantheon Zoe and playing things like Bright Seals, but I like the Riven Pantheon. Why though? Why? Riven with her fragments is really nice. Thanks to her fragments, we can get overwhelmed, which is just a really nice thing for our faded units because sure, they can get really big thanks to faded, but then you just get chump blocked a lot. So having overwhelm is just really nice. Blade Squire is another reason why to like Riven, aka Noxus. Getting Blade Squire is just another good solid one drop to get on the board early. Gives you a fragment when it dies to help out your faded units like your Saga Seeker and your Wounded White Flame. Blinded Mystic, I'm not sure about this card. I've been going back and forth on this card. I really like the card, but I also really do miss playing Solari Sunforge in the 4-mana slot. But I think this card is really nice, especially with the Elusives and other things to silence as well. So I like the card. Really, really nice against Lost Soul and Twin Blade as well, so that's cute. 3 Ruined Reckoners. I really, really like Ruined Reckoner in this deck. I can't remember. I think the card is called Midnight Hunt, the card that Ruined Reckoner creates. That card does activate Faded for you, so that's pretty good as well. And it's a really good card to use on a leveled up Pantheon just to help close out the game right away. Also using it on, say, like an Overwhelm unit that had Overwhelm for the turn. Say, like a big Wounded White Flame that got Overwhelmed from a Blade Fragment. Pretty solid. As for the spell suite, nothing too crazy here. 3 Guiding Touch, 3 Pale Cascade. You probably would expect that because we are a faded deck, basically. No We Stand Together. You might say that's kind of... Or sorry, not no We Stand Together. What am I thinking about? We had 3 We Stand Together. I'm thinking about my other deck, sorry. We do run 3 We Stand Together. Good card. 3 Shield Vaults, though. Now, this is a card I do not like, and I'm not a fan of in this deck. I do think it's a necessary evil at the moment, though. You might say, well, why is that? 1, activates Faded. That's fine. And for a Pantheon deck, activating Faded makes a card almost good enough to see play. There are better cards than this, in my opinion, for activating just Faded, but the reason I think it's better than playing something like, say, Sunblessed Vigor is, while it's slow speed, it is really nice against things like Poppy or Ahri or just Elusives in general. It kind of makes it so your opponents, like, they try to develop the board, you get a Faded trigger, and you stun whatever the scariest thing is on their side, whether that's, say, like an Ezreal, a Kennen, a Scion, it's Rumble, decent spell shield popper too, of course, so it's really nice. 1 of Culling Strike. I've been trying out Culling Strike again ever since the Poppy nerf. It's okay. I might go up to 2 in the future. 2 Hushes. I think 2 Hushes is necessary right now with Ahri running around, and all the Elusives running around in general. Very good card. 3 Whirling Deaths. Not sure about the number of Whirling Deaths. I like 3 at the moment. Helps activate Faded, and it's just solid removal. And then 1 Bloody Business, which is basically the 4th Whirling Death. You could do like a 2-2 split, 2 Whirling Death, 2 Bloody Business. Kind of hard to activate Bloody Business. We don't actually have a single unit that can actually use Bloody Business without Faded buffs or other kind of buffs, but it's still a pretty solid card. And I'm a fan of it. But yeah, I like this deck. If you're looking for a Pantheon deck, I think this deck is a pretty solid deck. Very, very fun to play in general, in all honesty. Does struggle against certain decks, though, I'd say. Plunder, I'm going to keep going back to Plunder, aren't I? Plunder does seem to wreck it. Basically, Sejuani. Sejuani is just so hard to deal with for this deck. You can kind of deal with Gangplank's. Gangplank's not that bad to deal with, but it's really just Sejuani. So, yeah, but it's fun. If you want to play Pantheon, this is a fun deck. Now, the next deck. This next deck, I think this is a really scary deck. And it's a really powerful deck. Probably one of the most powerful decks out of all the new decks. Lulu Poppy. Now, I'm kind of cheating here by saying this is a new deck. It's literally just playing 1 new card, and that's Yordle Explorer. basically the old Lulu Poppy deck. You might say, well, didn't the Lulu Poppy deck fall out of favor in exchange for Poppy Z? Yes. And you might say, well, why not anymore? Young Witch. Young Witch getting nerfed is huge. Young Witch dying to Make It Rain, Pokey Stick, etc., kind of makes the Z version of Poppy decks, the Poppy Z, really bad now. Young Witch was one of the pulls, one of the draws to go into Ionia and play Zed and play Ionia Demacia over Vandal City. So now we go back to Lulu Poppy. You might say, okay, streamer, so tell me about the deck. Well, it's a pretty simple deck. You just play units. That's it. You might play a little off curve to hold up things like Sharp Sight and Ranger's Resolve, depending on what your opponent is playing. You might be like, oh, I want to play around Mystic Shots or Avalanches or Withering Wails or whatever. But you know the deck. You've seen this deck before. Turn 1 Fleet Feather, turn 2 Yordle Explorer or Yordle Smith, turn 3 Mayor, turn 4 Lecturing Yordle, Poppy, Lulu, etc. And then you just attack in and then you rally and then you win the game. You could play Yordles in Arms too. That was a card that used to get played in this deck as like a 1 to 3 of even. Pretty solid card. Maybe take out like the 5th rally for a 1 of Yordles in Arms, but the meta is so fast right now, I'd rather just play more rallies in all honesty. But yeah, really terrifying deck. But if you're looking for just a really powerful deck that's not too new and it's not trying to do anything too crazy, this is the deck for you. Now, what if you want to do that new crazy kind of stuff that, in all honesty, is probably not that good, but it's crazy and fun? I've got the deck for you. I hinted at it a little bit when we were talking about the Ahri Fizz Elusive deck. Deck number 5. My personal favorite deck I've created in the new set so far. Kennen Ahri Shellfolk Control. Now, this deck, there's a lot to talk about with this deck. First off, it's a Shellfolk deck. We'll start with that. It's a Shellfolk deck. You know what you're doing here. You play Shellfolk. If you don't know what the Shellfolk synergy is, you play Shellfolk, you play Prank, whatever card you prank from your opponent you will get a copy of that. So you might say, okay, so explain the deck, streamer. Why are we playing this? Okay, so Kennen and Ahri and Eye of the Dragon. Kennen gives us more spells for Eye of the Dragon. The mark of Kennen, the spell itself, is fleeting, but the mark after you cast it is permanent. It's permanently on there until it gets removed after you cast a second mark, of course. So by marking something and then letting it sit there, your opponent has to keep that in mind now. You're just flooding your opponent's mind with all kinds of information. You're flooding your own mind too, but still. Now they're going to be like, okay, they've marked my like a challenger or something. Do I attack in? Do I develop the board? What do I do here? Because they might be able to get another mark by like doing some recall shenanigans or, you know, playing Godwillow Seedling like we have here. Godwillow Seedling is so good in this deck. We can use Godwillow Seedling on Kennen to get more Kennens in theory because we can recall the ephemeral card from Godwillow Seedling and it's no longer ephemeral when we recall it. We can use it on Otterpuss to get some mana back and more pranks. Just overall a great card. Use it on, say, Aloof Travelers or Shadow Assassins for value. Great card. We got Ahri here, too, giving us some insane value. Ahri recalling Kennen or Droplets or Otterpusses to start that little recall value in the early game. Recalling Conchologist, recalling Shadow Assassin, recalling Aloof Travelers. Just really good value. Eye of the Dragon, creating Dragonlings, helping us stall the game. The Dragonlings can help to level up Kennen. They are one of the units that we will be playing a lot to level Kennen. Another one is Kennen himself or the Dancing Droplets as well. And then as for our spell suite, pretty standard spell suite here. Trinket Trades because of Shellfolk. 3 Sonic Waves because it's really nice with Kennen and Ahri, you know, quick attack units. Sonic Wave plus... I can't even remember what the spell it creates is called. That's 2 spells for Eye of the Dragon as well. 3 Twin Disciplines because it's Ionia. Twin Disciplines just great. 1 of Concussive Palm. This card has kind of been a card that I've been throwing around. I've been switching out Concussive Palm for other random 1-ofs. At the moment, I kind of like Concussive Palm the most, especially because like it's another spell. We have ways to recall the Tail of the Dragon and turn it back into Concussive Palm, so I like it. As for the last two spells, two denies, just because deny, I like it over Notify in the current meta. There's a lot of rallies everywhere, I've noticed. And then two homecomings just for a little extra protection and value. I think homecoming is just better than Will of Ionia in this deck. We almost always have something on our side to recall. Just make sure when you homecoming, you think about how your opponent could stop it by removing your units. So be like, oh, they could make it right here, so I'll recall my Conchologist instead of my Otterpuss or Droplet. But yeah, very fun deck. You might say, how do you actually win? Pure value. Shellfolk value, Ahri value, level up Kennen value, God Willow Seedlings, Conchologist spells, Aloof Travelers, just raw card advantage, and eventually you'll just win by pure card advantage value while your opponent keeps using cards to do whatever, and then you just win the game using like multiple Kennen marks or Ahri giving you so much value and Ahri herself being elusive, you just win that way. Very fun deck. Not sure how competitive it is though, I'll be honest with you, but it is very, very fun. Definitely a deck that needs some more fine tuning though. I threw this together in like 15 minutes on stream, so it definitely needs more fine tuning, but very fun. Anyway though, that is all 5 decks that I wanted to show off today. If you are curious about some deck codes, I will be sure to leave them in a pinned comment down below in the comment section, so go check it out there. I hope you all enjoyed these 5 decks. I'd love to hear any opinions on the decks that you have, any kind of decks that you've been playing and brewing with. I'd like to get some ideas as well. Anyway, though, if you just enjoyed the video in general, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below to help out the channel. Also, if you want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zenaton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Been streaming a lot now as well because of the new set. It's pretty good. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy this video, and until I see you guys in the next one, bye.